Greetings, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I wasn't sure if we get this in or not. I'm on a quick family vacation on the tail end of the trip to Boulder. I'm down in Florida with my family, trying to make up for the summer vacation that I got screwed up during the on-3 transition that we didn't know was happening at the time when that trip was scheduled. So flew back here and am down in Florida now, hanging out with my family, and had to get everybody to bed and everything before we could do a show tonight. So thanks everybody for joining us. This is gray, not black. It's an Adidas shirt. Before anyone asks, it's what I had. We're at the sort of tail end of laundry that I had for my trip to Colorado and stuff. Been on the road since last Wednesday. So thanks for joining us. Glad. Thank goodness we get to talk about a win in Colorado. That was mighty closer than it probably should have been, and probably would be if you played the game 5 times over, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm not in a hotel, by the way. I'm in like a condo thing that my wife rented. So appreciate everybody. And we can dive into chat questions. I was going to pull some stuff from the mailbag because, like I said, we weren't sure we were doing this tonight or if it get done before middle of the week. So I didn't want to ask people to drop a bunch of questions and then not be sure we could jump on. So
I'm just pulling up the mailbag right now.
so I'll go ahead and jump in with stuff from the chat first here. And our first question is, how good of a team do we think Colorado is? And yeah, it's a really interesting question, and it's something that we all think about in week 1 of the season, right? We watched a bunch of, so I've watched a bunch of games. I'm sure Alex has. Like, I'm not watching the Miami game right now because for whatever reason, the place we're staying, ESPN's blacked out, which is fascinating. Didn't feel like streaming it. I did watch like the first half of it on the restaurant, but
Notre Dame just scored. Notre Dame just pulled within a touchdown early fourth quarter. 21-14.
Notre Dame's having some growing pains. Miami looks pretty good. Their fans are charged up. That's a Super Bowl kind of game for them. But going back to Colorado, they look like a bowl team, but they have a lot of problems. When I look at it, like their offense doesn't match what their quarterback is capable of doing. Like they didn't seem to understand what to do with Caden Salter. It was very NFL, and that's Pat Shermer, their OC, is very NFL centric, and it struck me as like NFL play calling, and even the decision making and some of the way they played downs and stuff was very NFL-ish to me. And I don't know, and I say this. I talked to a lot of people out in Colorado that cover the team and have been around those programs for a long time, and my view of it being kind of NFL-ish was shared by all of these people. Like it struck me, that's just how Deion's chosen to run his program, and that's his prerogative. I think if they could get it together, they have a lot of nice pieces. Like you can see the talent's there to be better than they are. I think they've had talent each of the years he's been there, and they did well last year, but started slow and had a lot of kind of those Cam Ward kind of Miami comebacks in them, even in their first game last year against North Dakota State. So, yeah, I don't know. I think they were very physical at the point of attack a lot of the time, but I was just underwhelmed by kind of what they did. It seemed very vanilla a lot of times. I would just wonder why they went and got Caden Salter when they're trying to do what they're doing offensively. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. He seems like a better fit at a lot of other places to me than there, but that's their hill they're going to live and die on. So, or at least for now, you got Juju sitting there. I was a little bit surprised maybe they didn't give him a shot at some point, but it wasn't Caden Salter's fault they weren't moving the football. So I think Tech's defense played pretty well. They had a decent game plan. And it was interesting to see them get away from some of the things that were successful during the game at times too. You were watching on TV, so you see a lot more that way, Alex. Kind of what was your takeaway from it?
I think you kind of said exactly what I was thinking. I think that they are a collection of pretty good players. I think they've got a lot of good players. I think they don't really know how everybody fits together right now. That's what happens when you depend on the portal for, like, I don't know, the majority of your team. And first game, you get out there and see how the puzzle fits together. And I don't know, it's going to take them some time. I think they're actually going to be pretty good toward the end of the season, and I really do think that Lewis is going to get some chances, especially if their offense struggles, early on the next couple of weeks. I don't think he can stick with Salter when they put so much kind of hype, and he and Juju came with the hype too. So I know he's a year younger than most freshmen, but I still think they'll throw him in there. But yeah, I think they'll end up being a pretty good game toward a pretty good team, but toward the end of the year. And the Big 12 is wide open, I think. So you never know out there. But
Utah looked good last night. I watched some of that game.
they did.
Nico did not.
Trying to think who else. Kansas State almost lost again.
Yeah, they had to pull it out at the last minute, right? They had like a 1 minute offensive drive or something to win the game.
Yeah, North Dakota almost got them.
Iowa State. Yeah, and I don't really know a ton about the Big 12, but let's look who they have left. They played Delaware this week. They should win that. At Houston, Willie Fritz is a good coach. Wyoming should be a win. BYU's been pretty good. That's going to be a tough game, but it's in Boulder. Who knows what TCU is? That's one of the few teams we haven't seen yet. Iowa State's looked pretty good in the first game. Utah looked really good, and they play at Utah, which is a tough place to play. Arizona, don't know anything about Arizona or West Virginia. Their next two games, though, they do go to Morgantown, which is a really long trip from Boulder. Bye week, and then Arizona State at Kansas State to end the season. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4 ranked teams coming up, and some tough non-ranked teams as well. Like I think Utah may end up being ranked here, a week or two. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season for Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. But the one other thing that was fascinating to me was the clip of Dion not being on top of what happened at the end of the game. That was kind of weird to me because even I'm not great at remembering like play by play what happens in a game all the time. But I mean, it was the last, basically 5 or 6 plays of the game. Like it's pretty easy to remember that, not knowing what your clock situation is there and why. And like everyone literally that was even in the press box, like, what are they doing? Like, why are they not calling timeout? You have a TFL on first down. You have Salter run sideways for like 8 seconds. Like a lot of really poor sort of coaching clock management things. And like no one on the sideline yelling for him to get down or whatever when he was running for the first down. All he had to do was kind of fall forward, pass the line to gain, and you move on. And Georgia Tech benefited from all that, but it was kind of a little bit of a red flag in terms of just the in-game thing. Why that? And maybe Dion gives the OC a lot of freedom on all that stuff. We don't know the inner politics of Colorado football, so I'm not going to speculate on who, how, or what, or like why it is. But it seemed like their fans are very pissed about their OC.
All that to say, I think it was a pretty good win for Georgia Tech. Like, I mean,
the Hail Mary was like, oh my God, they got even into position to do a Hail Mary was crazy to me. But the way that game started, like none of us would have expected to have a win. And I'll address something from the jump here too, because I see all the weird people like trying to jump on me for suggesting that maybe they put Aaron Philo in. You had Haynes King play maybe the worst 3 series back to back to back of his career at Georgia Tech. And what my thought process was there, because it was certainly shared by several other people that I was talking to during the game, including everyone sitting on the press row with me, was that you may have needed something to jumpstart things or to settle Haynes down. And so maybe you try something. But as soon as they had that goofy punt return and it was at the 2, like you don't put anyone else in at that point. But I do wonder if they had the ball, the 30 or something, if they had thought about rolling the dice there. Probably not, but it wasn't like the most crazy suggestion in the world. And it's funny because the same people giving me grief are the ones that were upset when I told them that Aaron Philo wasn't going to play in the UGA game because Haynes King was healthy.
You got to
So
preserve that red shirt.
yeah, like why burn that guy's red shirt in that game? Like if Haynes King was healthy and playing well, like you're going to do everything you can do to win the game. And I'm sure it crossed the minds. And I haven't talked to Brent Key or Buster or any of them about it, but when your quarterback's having a tough time, and I think even from talking to Haynes after the game, I think he between the wet field and the probably like the nerves of the first game, and also the thing that people don't maybe remember is or know is the last time he played a game in Colorado is when he had like the most serious injury of his career when he was at A&M. He played like a couple of snaps in a game. They were playing in down the road in Denver at the Mile High or Coors Field or whatever it's called. Um, and it was like a career-altering injury for him at A&M. And I don't care like how tough a dude you are. That's gonna every ball player has like there's some moments when you have something like that, it might be a trigger for you, like just mentally. And I wonder if maybe like there was a little something in the back of his head too. And then his dad's going through cancer treatments. Haynes has a lot going on. Like he's a tough kid, and no one will ever question his toughness. He is, other than Justin Thomas and Josh Nesbitt. Those are the three toughest dudes I've probably covered in terms of a quarterback skill player during my time covering college football. Period. I'll go back to covering UGA too, and the dude, to his credit, willed them to win the game and didn't play his best game throwing the football and had some mistakes with the fumbles. But my God, he played his butt off from really that sequence on the rest of that game. He drove them down the field. They got the field goal that got that. See, they seemed to relax after they had that field goal, and that kind of got everybody going. And huge credit to Blake Gideon and that defense, man. They made two great stands after turnovers and basically plus territory to end things, and keep them in the game, because those are the games that Georgia Tech has been losing for years, like going back to Jeff. Like, you get behind the turnovers and you start falling. That was that Syracuse game, the one with the COVID start on 2020. That's what happened in that game. They just fell behind early. Last year at Syracuse, they had some issues and fell behind. Like those are the games that snowball on you, and they fought back and stayed in the game. And the defense played their butt off. Special teams did well, other than the one or two mistakes in the return game on punts. And yeah, I think it was encouraging.
That was I talked to a head coach friend of mine, a high school head coach, and he was talking about how that's kind of the next step of being a good team is you have you don't play well and you find out how to win. When other previous years they would do stuff like you said, they would get off to a terrible start or have something go against them and they couldn't overcome that. That's kind of the next step in this process of knowing, you can have those mistakes, but you still got a team that's good enough to overcome that. You got leaders, you got experience that can see you through all that. And so I think that says a lot about where the team is, where the program is, to have about the worst start you can have, 3 straight turnovers. And then, like you said, Gideon's defense held them to 1 score on that and pretty much dominated the game from there at that point on, other than the one long drive Colorado had to tie it up. It was impressive.
And, to me, like if he doesn't fumble, doesn't throw the pick, like they're marching down the field easily. And that might be it could have been a lopsided game. Like it was looking the way the ease they were moving the football at times, like, and then they'd have like a miscue. And they had some of the stuff too was with having new offensive line pieces, and you were mixing and matching, and they had to flip Harrison Moore to guard and play Tana at center, and all of that stuff was impacting what was going on. I'm sure it was impacting Haynes King too. Like that was the one big question we talked about, I think, in the preview too, was like the having a new center for the first time in a long time, and someone that played 30 something snaps, and Tana and a guy who didn't play any last year in Harrison, you were probably gonna have some bumps in the road, and you were playing a really physical defensive line that was supposed to be good. Not your ideal setup for game one, right? So I think there were some definite bumps in the road. And that's the one area where I think if they get that operation smoothed out, because there were a lot of bad snaps in the game. There were a lot of high snaps, low snaps. Like he was having to, and that just throws your rhythm off as a quarterback when you're in that type of offense. But they got through it. Haynes settled down and played really great. He missed like one throw to Brett Scyther, but other than that, I thought he was pretty right on after the pick, and ran his butt off. And you definitely, I mean, he's a tough dude, man, and all the credit in the world to him. You get the offensive player of the week from Georgia Tech.
I think he was a little jumpy, like after that start, and then after seeing the kind of issues that he was having on the interior offensive line. I think he was a little bit weird with the passing game. Like he was kind of looking at the rush, and
Well, he didn't have much of a clean pocket either, which
yeah, the passing game was not where they want, anywhere near where they wanted to be, and it had a lot to do with him kind of feeling that
wet, and it rained in the third quarter
Yeah.
for a while. Like it would rain all before the game. It rained a lot before the game. If you weren't there, everybody got soaked, I think, for about 30 minutes before kickoff. Like it was coming down pretty good. And yeah, it was to Colorado's credit too, man. That was a really good environment. What they did with the students to have them in the bowl part of the stadium that's closed in created a great environment. They had a great turnout from their student body. Like they were all into it. Now their students were a little out of control. I've heard a lot of like horror stories from people that are kind of crazy to be things I haven't heard about happening at places since, maybe 20 years ago, pre social media. People trying to pick fights. One of my buddies literally like choked out a guy that like sucker punched him, and the guy my friend didn't get arrested, but the kid who sucker punched him did, because other Colorado fans told on him what happened, told the cops what happened. My friend choked him out. And so he got to go to the hospital and jail in the same night. So it was a learning experience for that young Colorado student.
He must have had that smell that Dion was talking about.
That was the other funny thing, man. I didn't smell any weed, but I walked through like the tech section of the stadium each time, and under us was like old people. So, and because we had an open press box with like open windows, and we didn't smell any weed. So I was telling somebody, I was like, I smell more weed walking around Manhattan or Midtown Atlanta or whatever than I did the entire time I was in Colorado, which is fine. And I don't have a problem with it, for the record. I don't care what people do, but I just don't like people who smoke cigars in public. That's like, that kind of bothers me a little bit. I don't mind if you like smoking a cigar. I don't love it when walking by somebody smoking a smelly cigar, but teach their own.
I'll smoke a cigar if they win some big games this year. I've never smoked.
Hey man, like I said, I have friends that do it. I just don't. The smell of it that bothers me more than anything, more than cigarettes or anything else as a non-smoker. So they're already asking about Clemson. Yeah, I don't know. So the question is, how do you feel about Tech's chances with Clemson? Clemson looked exactly the same as they did like a year ago on offense, which is kind of strange to me. Like they don't have those receivers that go make plays and stuff, man. And Klubnik isn't like some dynamic enough quarterback to overcome that part of it. And so they're sort of this catch-22 here, right? Like they don't have any of the cats like Deshaun Watson had, or Trevor Lawrence, or they had guys like giving up on routes and stuff, or running the wrong route, or like breaking it off at the wrong place. And that kind of killed their momentum a lot in that game. And LSU was good defensively. I thought Clemson was going to win that game. They're still very good defensively. They held LSU to a stalemate a lot of the game. That's going to be an absolute slugfest, I think. That was probably Haynes King's worst game at Georgia Tech, was the game at Clemson 2 years ago. So I'm sure he wants to get back on the right footing. Yeah, did you watch Clemson LSU Hawks?
I did. They're just like you said, when Klubnik's gotten all this recognition in the offseason, how he's going to take the next step and everything, and their offense looks exactly the same as it has, just kind of stuck in the mud. They would make some plays. They would shoot themselves in the foot. They lost Williams, the receiver. I think he had a hamstring thing and missed a good part of the game, but I don't know how severe that is. But yeah, they just look like the Clemson the last few years where they couldn't score points. They didn't score a point in the second half. So, yeah, not going to win a lot of games doing that, especially against top 10 teams. As far as Georgia Tech, I have no idea. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the Gardner-Webb stats, but I'm not some crazy person that's going to be so scared of Gardner-Webb, but they ran up a ton of yards and they had a crazy comeback win last night. So
yeah, wasn't it all in the second half or something?
they were down 35-7. I think late second quarter and came back 52-45. They ran for. I got it right here. They
Did
ran.
Jeff go back to his alma mater and coach defense on? Is he is he moonlighting at Western Carolina?
I was looking for Jeff on the sideline at South Carolina game today, but he must be in the booth or something.
Somebody said they saw him on the board. I like Jeff. It's not a very good head coach, and defensive coordinator clearly a little different when you don't have Chris Jones and people like that, and the talent that Muschamp gave them at Florida when he walked into that.
Gardner-Webb ran for 335 on 57 attempts and 292 passing, so 627 total yards. So,
oof.
I know it's Western Carolina, but pretty good
still
numbers.
Still a lot of yards, man.
And Western Carolina was a ranked team, SCS, so I think they're focused on that one ahead of Clemson this next 2 weeks.
Sean is asking, when A.J. Hoffler comes back, will he boost the pass rush? Yeah, I'm sure he will. I mean, he's a veteran guy. He was successful kind of end of the rotation guy at Clemson. Manley's more of the kind of more explosive guy, but with Hoffler out, they started Dre Fuller. That shifted, I think, how Colorado probably attacked it, at least for what I saw. I haven't watched a replay yet, but I watched a lot of them doubling up on Manley and kind of squaring him off. And he was going against some Colorado, to their credit, had some big old boys on their offensive line. But what Manley was doing also freed up J.J. Vandenberg and Aquilo and Matt Alexander, and they all three had really good games for them in the inside. So it's sort of that catch-22. I think Salter was really good at kind of escaping. They had him a couple times where they should have got a sack and maybe didn't have the best angle, or he stepped up just in time, had a good feel for his pocket. And so it'll be more interesting as they play teams with different types of quarterbacks, how that goes. One thing let me get back to talking about Clemson, is their offensive line really kind of underwhelmed me in that LSU game. And I know LSU is really salty on defense, but they just, there wasn't a lot of operating room for Klubnik either. So I'm curious if that was just LSU being that good or Clemson's O-line. And Matt Luke's never been a guy I've thought is this O-line whisperer or whatever. So we'll see.
I think something that I put in my takeaways going back to the Georgia Tech defense is we have a lot of questions about what Gideon would look like first game, calling the defense and everything. And I think for the most part, he did a great job. But the secondary was a little less aggressive than I thought. They were kind of playing off.
They're keeping it in front of them.
Right.
And so that gave them some chunk plays in the middle of the field. That's the stuff where Tech fans get flashbacks of Ted Roof and some of the other guys that played that way. But it seemed like he dialed up some stuff when they needed it. And they were very good at kind of controlling once the field shrank, using the end zone in the back of the field to contain it, right?
I think they did a pretty good job overall. And he's going to figure it out. He's going to, the old cliche, like I mentioned, is best jump comes from game 1 to game 2, especially for a defense coordinator this in that role for the first time. He's gonna watch that and figure out what he can do better and put his team in a position a little bit better, especially with the injuries they had with Shelley and Hoffler, and I'm sure there's somebody I'm leaving out, but yeah, when he gets his comfortability a little bit better with that, I think they played pretty well overall. But they'll just keep getting better. So The
Um,
oversized jersey thing, that was the first question in the mailbag.
yeah, so
The
Will
people
asked about, sorry, so I'll explain this in simplest terms. You guys saw Amari Harvey block their PAT that still managed to go through the uprights, right? So Amari's their best like special teams guy, like blocking things off the edge. So he's on that punt team a lot of the time as a potential punt block guy. So both him and Rivers wear the same number. I think neither one of them wanted to give it up. You saw Dalen Gordon and Trelane Maddox change numbers because they didn't. There was a double number situation with Dalen was wearing 5 with him and Clayton Powley and probably some special teams unit, and with Maddox with his number 2 with EJ Lightsey on like kickoff coverage, like as a, kind of like a up back or whatever blocker. And so they both changed numbers. I guess Rivers didn't want to, or it didn't make sense, or they didn't care. So you get the weird oversized jersey. The reason the oversized jersey's oversized is because he's returning punts, and then you want him to be in. You don't want Eric Rivers to not play the first play of your next possession because he's busy trying to get a stupid jersey off his shoulder pads. So I think they just went with this oversized jersey because it was quick to get in on and off him. And then the third thing is the guy who might have been the punt returner is Rodney Shelley, who's the guy that's hurt. So he was the most experienced punt return guy. Then you had Bailey in terms of tech, and then Rivers was a guy who knew how to do it and did it at a high level, which we saw with one of his returns. He had a nice return on one of them. So yes, you guys are going to hear people make fun of him for his oversized jersey. Maybe they'll change it to slightly less obscene one for the next game. But
that's the whole point of it, though, is to be able to get it on quick, get it off quick.
yep,
Like
it's
I don't
quick
know
change, man. It's like
if
an oversized suit or whatever.
if it's very hard. Like they don't wear the big baggy jerseys anymore. So getting the jersey on the pads and off like it's a process. They're gonna that's the whole point. And I think somebody asked me yesterday, why don't they let Harvey? Well, Harvey's already on the field playing defense, so he's not gonna come off and put the jersey on and then like he's already on the field playing defense. He's gonna stay on the field for the punt return. So he's not gonna be the one using the jersey. So. I don't know. It's not a big deal. It's kind of goofy, but I thought Rivers played pretty well his first game. Had a good punt return. I thought he was going to break that
He was so close, man,
that
to
sweep.
breaking that
Yeah,
thing.
I thought he was going to beat that guy's angle, but credit to that guy for chasing him down because
There were two of those plays.
fast.
He had one and Jamal had one, I think, where they both like were like a shoestring away from like busting it for a long touchdown, which might have changed the momentum of the game too if you do that. Then obviously Haynes had the big explosive there at the end. And another thing, which may not be in the questions, but Lord knows people were going on about it on Twitter, was why didn't Haynes King slide and run the clock out on that one? You don't do that, man. Like this isn't like you don't have Morton Anderson kicking for you, and this isn't the 1990s where it's like automatic, like no matter what. Like I am taking the touchdown every day of the week. Let your defense had played well that whole game. Like don't like you didn't need to do that. And it would have been different too. The other thing people don't realize, I think Colorado had 2 timeouts at that point.
They ended that was the whole thing. They ended the game with the 2 timeouts.
So
They
they
never
had
used
two
them.
or
So
yeah, I guess they had 2. Yeah, so you have 2 timeouts. If he slides there, it was what, a minute 44 ish when he scored. So they could have stopped the clock. They could have got the ball back with over a minute left if he had just stopped at the goal line or whatever. The clock wasn't low enough to the point, and they had too many timeouts to make it make absolute sense to stop at the 1 or whatever. And then yeah, you kick a field goal and you get the ball back with. You give them the ball back with a minute left, So if you don't punch it in and score a touchdown. So it made no sense to get down. I didn't see anybody yelling at him to get down. Like that wasn't something discussed before the play went off, I'm sure. So yeah, that was a scenario where it didn't make sense. If it was under a minute and the other team had 1 timeout, maybe if you feel really confident about it. But Aiden had some misses last year. He looked great in the game, by the way. but I'm not playing that game as a college. If I'm coaching a college team,
I'm
no.
I'm I'm the same way. I like, and especially with the conditions, like you said, it rained during the game, it rained before the game. You got to get a snap down, you got to get a hold. I mean, it's a whole lot of things that go into even a short field goal that could go wrong. And if you can avoid that, do it at all costs. I think Aiden Burr's come a very long way, and I'm very confident in him now. But not I'm not. He's not 100%. Nobody's 100%. So always take the touchdown. If your defense can't hold him after that, then that's a different discussion. So
Ken mentioned something in the chat too about Malik Rutherford going out. And I think absolutely had some impact. You guys got to see what I've been talking about with Bailey Stockton, though. He played amazingly in the game, did a great job. But Malik's a special guy. He's part of that heartbeat of that team. There's a reason why they fought to keep him. Remember he went in the portal and came back out and all that. They love that kid. He is as tough as nails. He is a $145 soaking wet probably. I mean, he says he's up to 155 or something like that. I don't know. But like that dude's tough, man. And yeah, it messed him up with whatever. I guess people are saying a bone bruise or contusion or something probably on his leg. We couldn't see anything. Like our vantage was not great for that. So and
they didn't
I didn't really
really
have a TV to look at to
they
watch
didn't
replays.
they didn't really show a very good angle of it on TV either. They like went with the to the plate, and it was kind of a few players like stacked up and on him or in front of the camera, and I don't know if he took like a knee to the thigh or I don't know. You didn't really see a good angle of it on TV, but hopefully it's no. I mean, I don't think it's anything serious. Did he get back in and play again? I think he played
So they said he played 2 snaps. So when he went out, it was the first play, right? He got hurt on.
yeah.
And then apparently played one other snap in the game. And
I think it was late. I think it.
so that's what somebody told me. And he was on the bike, but then I someone said that he was in street clothes. Like I don't know. I have to go back and watch it again. And then the PFF said Jordan Allen played, and I didn't remember seeing him in the game.
I did see him playing.
Okay.
And I looked at the freshman that appeared on the participation report. He was on there. I think Tay Harris played on special teams.
Yeah, Tay Harris played teams. You had Christian Garrett played 4 snaps on defense. Obviously, Trey Fuller we talked about. Shane Marshall played. He was the kick returner, but nothing happened when he was in the game because all the kickoffs were touchbacks. They were killing those balls in that altitude, man. Holy smokes. All the kickoffs were like out of the end zones by a mile. That would have been interesting to see. Like you probably could have kicked a long field goal too on that turf. People are asking about AJ Hoffler's update or Malik. So the guys who are hurt right now are Malik Rutherford that we don't know about. We'll find out Tuesday probably about most of these guys. AJ Hoffler got hurt. Sadly for him, maybe like a week before the first game. He had been going all camp, so I don't know what happened with him. Ben Galloway, who would have been the guy to come in the game when Keelan Rutledge got hurt. He's out with an injury. He seems like he's out for a little while. He had like a lower body injury, I think. The third center, Jimmy Bryson's out for a while. So that's why Jamison Riggs right now can play right tackle, can play left tackle, you can play both guards, and you can play center, which is fascinating. He's trained at all of them. He came in and played some right tackle for Malachi apparently during the game, which I also didn't know. But no, and like I'm not trying to get at like this ain't the week to like be playing Gardner Webb, to be like digging in to sources about who's hurt and who's not for If they need all those dudes to be Gardner Webb, there's some bigger problems going on. That's no offense to Gardner Webb, but like this is a game coming up where I hope to see Haynes King play 3 series, and then sit him down, let him save his legs, save his body for a week, and let Philo play, let Graham Knowles play. Like hopefully you've got enough going there to let those dudes get some playing time, and especially like Philo, who you're probably going to need at some point this year, just based on the reality of quarterbacks in college that run like Haynes does. yeah, you hope this is a week where you see some other dudes.
I'm sure one of the first questions that'll be asked on Tuesday to Key is injury updates, and he'll give the normal, their day to day. We're looking at, he's not going to give anything,
Here you go. Here's some scoop from our guy here, saying that AJ's mom said that he's looking to play next week. Yeah, it didn't seem like whatever's wrong with AJ's that serious, and he traveled out with the team. So that's the other thing that's always telling about guys with injuries. So Rodney Shelley was the other one I left out, who
Yeah.
would be your starting corner probably opposite Amari Harvey. So Toby played really well, and so did Daquan White.
That's what I was going to say. I think Daquan White was one of the higher rated guys
He
on
was the
defense
highest
overall.
rated DB on the PFF for this week. And he played. They both played very well. Like they covered their guys, did their thing. There was a one weird play with Amari and Clayton. The only shot play that Colorado hit in the passing game to Amari and Miller was a. It seemed based on what I saw live, like immediately as soon as the ball went up, Amari was like pointing at CP Lee like he had messed up. Was supposed to have him if he went deep. I guess that must have been. I have not looked at the play to see what the coverage was, but it looked like it was a situation where Clayton was supposed to take the deep man if it was a vertical route, and Harvey was playing underneath, and so Harvey was trying to run back into the play, and Clayton was late rotating over to get covered. And that dude's really talented, by the way. Like that Miller kid, he can play.
I slipped up. Notre Dame's about to tie it up.
Nice. Joe the Pilot asking about Cayman Spalding. That man sideline to sideline. Yep. Wouldn't be surprised to see him and EJ as a starting two linebackers as the season goes on. Yeah, I think Cayman's been that's one of the guys who've been really excited about it. It's unfortunate he dropped that ball that should have been a pick, man. That was, I'm sure his teammates ragged him the whole way back from Atlanta, back to Atlanta from Denver about dropping that ball. But yeah, he runs really well. I mean, that one play he had that was a great hustle play where he stopped those little swing pass to the running back, stopped him short of the sticks to force a fourth down. Like that was a hell of a play in space where he was like maybe a hair out of position on it. Kind of, I think there was a lot of them trying to make sure that Salter didn't take off, and took him a second to get over there, but he ran that dude down and stopped him on a really short little swing pass that should have been an easy first down for Colorado. So excited to see what he can do. EJ looked really good in the game. I thought Kyle played well. The coverage is still a little needs some work to be done, but he was good when he was playing downhill. He plays better downhill. I think you use those guys to their advantage. Melvin, I didn't notice as much, and then it played Tajay really only when they went with the 3 linebacker set.
There's a question on the mailbag about is Haynes King hurt again, or can we not pass protect? I think I don't. The way Haynes plays, he's gonna get dinged up during games. Like he's not hurt, but he's hurting. Like that's just the way he
If he
plays
was hurt, he
football.
wouldn't have talked to us, and he would have been in treatment after the game immediately. Like they wouldn't have let him talk to TV or any of that stuff. He's also this. He reminds me of. It's kind of like a boxer or whatever. Like they're when they're in the thing, and then they like when the bell rings, they kind of like hobble over to the sideline. He has a little bit of that too, man, where it's like he's like gaming, and then kind of like falls off a little bit. And then maybe the adrenaline. I don't know what it is, but JT was like that a little bit too. Justin Thomas, he kind of like limp or whatever off to the sideline, and then when it was game time, he could go and run at full speed and stuff. But I'm sure those dudes are. I'm sure it looked like maybe he took a shot to his ribs or something. I don't know, like the way he was kind of holding himself a little funky, but he seemed fine after a game. He came and talked to us. He was moving both his arms around and stuff. So I assume he's okay.
That's the biggest thing on here. They asked about his another shoulder injury. Was that part of the passing game? As far as we know, he said everything's good to go with his shoulder coming into the season. I don't think that was what was hurting on him on Friday.
So here we go. There's the answer over to the Malik Rutherford thing. Thanks, Josh. Josh said he played on the play when Haynes fumbled. okay, that makes more sense. I didn't remember seeing him come back after he got hurt, so that makes sense. And he was. Everyone said he was in street clothes. So the one thing, and you probably saw this on TV, they had these like cover things over the bench. So like we couldn't see even like who was sitting on the bench or whatever from where we were. That was all behind it. We were behind where Georgia Tech's bench was. Unlike at Georgia Tech, where the home bench would be on its side, and the away bench we would be able to see because it would be on the opposite side. It was the opposite of Colorado. Steve Cook saying that in 2019 Miami missed a chip shot field goal, which gave them game at the Rock. And that was a game I missed because my father died. I had to fly. We were on a baby moon with my wife. Before my youngest was born, my dad died that Friday night. And I flew back to Boston and listened to Andy Demetra and Sean Bedford call the game because it wasn't on the TV on the plane as I flew back, and then listened to it in the rental car as I was driving the end of the game. Yeah, that's right. They did miss the field goal.
Let's see here.
Tiger Turner's asking if they should just let Philo play next week. I think you need to let, unless Haynes is like really banged up, you need to let him play. And that dude's earned his right to play his games and have a couple series. Now, are they going to do all the design runs and stuff with him? Probably not. They might let him run a little bit, but if I'm them, I'm trying to do whatever jet sweeps or whatever it takes to like score quickly, and then maybe let him throw the football a little bit to get that kind of working a little bit. Maybe hook up Rivers and Canyon downfield, work on some vertical passing that everyone seems to want so badly, even though you're running the ball at 6.5 yards a clip or whatever it was in that game. But yeah, I think you got to let Haynes play, and I'm sure Haynes wants to play too.
Yeah, he's not going to willingly sit out to his final year of college. Let's see here. Scrolling down.
Yeah, I think Haynes King wants to. I mean, maybe he gets a shot at the NFL. We don't know. Like, it probably depends on how the season plays out and stuff, and how people view him in the NFL. But like, he wants to enjoy this, man. He can't. When you're his age and you have your degrees and stuff, the reason why you're playing is because you love the game. It's not because you want to sit or whatever. If you feel like you can play, and I think Brett Key would have to pry the football out of his hands to get him not to play. He wants to play.
There's a question about burning. I think you said Shane Marshall was on the kickoff return.
He was the kick returner.
So they were asking about burning red shirt. So they think they'll try to save either him or Marshall or both. Or I guess there's not really in the thought process right now. JP Powell. I mean,
for Shane, I think the thought process, from what I've gathered, is they think eventually he'll be able to help them this season in the backfield. And think about it, last year, they got down to playing, they got down to playing Dalen Gordon in one game. They were, what is it? So it was last year, you would have had Jamal, Chad, Trey Cooley, who all got hurt.
Carey.
He had Anthony Carey, who had to play some in some games. They really love Shane Marshall and are excited about him. Dalen Gordon played some last year. So the thought process, I think, is there that if he can help you win right now, I think the thought there is he may not even be like he's probably not a 5-year college player. He's probably a guy that they think so highly of that he eventually is like a pro guy. So you're going to play him. Like, Brent's been very big on Shane Marshall, been very big on Christian Garrett, Dre Fuller. He tried to downplay the Dre Fuller thing, but he was up in the depth chart from like early on in fall camp. Like he really was doing well for them. Trying to think of the other freshmen. Who else might we see this year? Elgin Sessions, Dalen Penson, the next two in that order. We'll see Tara Harris play some safety at some point. I think with the way that game was going, they weren't going to gamble putting in Tay, unfortunately for him. So they slid Jay Gilmore over to safety instead of playing Tay in the game. But I think you'll see Tay play a lot this week. I think it was the same issue with Josh Petty and Kevin P and Peyton Joseph. Like you'd like to play them, that wasn't the game to do it. I think this week you'll see all three of those dudes play as well. So
Speaking of the backfield, it's not one of the freshmen, but um, uh, I thought Malachi Hosley came in and provided a pretty good spark in there, like in the middle part of the game.
that's
He
the
is
best I've seen him run. That was better than anything I saw in practice with him. Like in the practice. Now, I'll say we don't watch a lot of practice, so in terms of full pad stuff. So, um, but yeah, I was impressed with him, and I thought he ran really hard,
he,
moved
he's
the
got
pile.
he's got some bursts. He's you can tell he's a bit of a gamer. He's
Trelane, that's how Trelane Maddox looks in practice too. If you guys are wondering, because you've not seen him healthy yet. Like he was playing last year at like 75% before he hurt his foot after coming off of an ACL tear. So he's like 16 months out from surgery now, Trelane. So I'm not sure what was going on with him. I guess he got dinged early on and was scratched too, because I thought he was going to play and didn't, and then I really barely saw him on like some kickoff return, and that was it. So I wonder if he was banged up or something. And I imagine we'll see those three plus some Dalen Gordon and maybe even Shane Marshall this coming week if they can get in control of that game early. Brad asking what position group played your best in your opinion. Um, on the offensive side of things, uh, what's interesting? You put King to the side because he was the only one that played his position. So I'll go with ones where multiples played because I thought Haynes played really well after the first three series. I thought that obviously Brad, the tight ends look good. I really like Luke Harpering and Josh Beetham had a key block on that touchdown where he sealed that guy up for Haynes, and Haynes' second touchdown run, I think it was the one off they were both off the right side, but he did a great job kind of following and reading the situation to seal that guy. Both of them looked really good. It looked like JT Byrne was a little banged up. He was out for a really long time trying to loosen up before the game. Scyther, didn't see a lot of him other than that one pass they threw to him that was a little bit overthrown, like a hair. If they had hit that, that would have probably broken the game open too. But yeah, I don't would and then defensively, other defensive tackles played really well. I was impressed with Akilo and JJ were giving them hell inside, and so was Matt. And Jason Moore played okay in his snaps and held his own, which is what you want there. So yeah, that was good to see. And oh, Alex, what did you think?
I think the offensive line, other than the snapping issues for early, first part of the game and some miscommunications there in passing game, I thought the offensive line played pretty well once they started kind of pounding the ball at Colorado. And I mean, 300 rushing yards, pretty good. I thought the linebackers played pretty well. There was a little bit of frustration with the as many balls they allowed to the running backs out of the backfield on short passes, but that'll get figured out with the new how the linebacker's supposed to play that in the new defensive system with Gideon. And like we've talked about, I think the linebackers are as deep as it's been in a while with pretty much four guys that can all four be starters out there. So
Jeffrey's asking about Dean Patterson. How much did he play? He played basically kind of what I thought, a little more than a third of the snaps at that X, and then Isaiah Canyon played the rest of those snaps. And it was exactly kind of what I thought it would be. You had in the slot, you had Malik and Bailey, and then Jordan Allen was the third guy. At the Z, you had Eric Rivers, Zion Taylor played. There was a misconnection there with him on the side. It was a really tough play. Ball was put pretty much the only place you could put it where it wasn't going to get picked. Trying to connect with him on a sideline throw. And then you didn't see DeBron Gatling, but I'm excited about him. He has a bright future too. Didn't see Chris Elko, and didn't see. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that was dressed that you didn't see at receiver.
Zion Taylor played a little bit.
Zion played about 12, 15 snaps in the game.
I think he had a catch on one of those like swing passes, like short.
Yeah, he had like a little short catch.
I was looking at the participation report to see the freshmen that played were obviously Fuller started. J.P. Powell was on there. Let's see, Shane Marshall, Tay Harris, Christian Garrett actually had a tackle.
Yeah, he came in in the sub package and played a little bit. Played a little inside.
And then Jordan Allen.
He played end. He played end, I think.
Yeah, and Jordan Allen played. So those were the freshmen that played. Chris Elko played, I guess, on special teams. He's on the report here, but
yeah, he was on the kickoff coverage team. I know that. I don't know if he was on other ones, but he was on kick coverage. Apparently, I guess Barrio's having a tough time here at the end of the. Josh, here we go. Josh with it. Maddox came in early, got rolled up, blocking for Jamal. Yeah, so they have those packages where the two running backs, they have different ways they run it. You saw one of them with the under center stuff where they gave the ball to Malachi and he ran for a first down. And then they have the version they've run for the last few years where you have the two backs or one of them's lined up in slot and, does the motion back across. The jet motion. With Jamal, they can run that with Dalen, Jamal, or Chad when Chad's back, or probably one of the young kids. And then you have Maddox and Maddox or Hulsley or Shane Marshall is kind of the bigger guy there. Yeah, in the chats, Ken Anderson said that he thinks Malachi Carney played well. That right side of the line looked really interesting at times with him and Keelan Rutledge. That was where they needed yards. That was where they were going behind the right side of the line. It reminded me a lot of, unfortunately, my friend Shaq Mason, on what Paul used to do with him. When he needed yards, he just ran behind Shaq, right? Or Uzi, when he was there, you could go behind them, right, at that right guard spot. And that's what, and with both Keelan and Malachi, you got a really nice ability to set that edge on that side of the ball.
Carney played well. He had the one holding penalty, which wasn't really his fault. I think Haynes kind of got out of the pocket and kind of faded a little bit, and he had to kind of grab onto his guy.
Matt's asking about King not having a lot of time to throw. Am I concerned with the O-line? First game kinks. I think a little A, a little B. I think some of that was also Colorado's really good at rushing the passer. That's the one thing they've done really well since Deion's been there in terms of their defense. They've been very, very good at rushing the passer, and that's where they've invested in the portal pretty hard. Since remember they had Jordan Dominic playing there for a year, the former Yellow Jacket. They would go out and get guys, and they brought Jordan Dominic in to basically be a guy to play 20 or 30 snaps like a game. He wasn't a guy that was necessarily starting all the time for him. They invested a lot on getting edge rushers and stuff, and they had some, I thought, pretty good ones, and they were giving Georgia Tech a lot of trouble. They were getting good pressure on the inside too. Tana was having a little bit of a hard time inside, and I thought Ethan McKinney played really well. His side was very clean, especially in pass pro. But yeah, those are all things you can work on. In the environment they were in the wet with what was going on, and you're running the football so well, they didn't. How many passes did he throw? 17, something like that.
Let's see. We have the box
and how many of those were deep drops? I think 3 or 4. Like there weren't a lot of them. He didn't have a lot of time either, and those are the plays where he tends to get lit up more too.
He was 13 for 20 with 143 and an interception, 1 sack. So
Yeah, I thought he's asking about Buster using JT as a battering ram. Yeah, the way they used the different tight ends, I thought was really impressive with how they mixed, JT, Josh, Luke. Luke's really going to be a problem, and like as he gets more mature and used to playing tight end, you can see everyone kept asking why they're not moving him to defensive end, and it's because they think he's an NFL tight end. It's just going to take time to develop him to get him there. But there was a reason why they were so excited about Luke, and I think Luke's ceiling is really high at that position. He has his dad's like physical traits, and then the ability to like high point the ball and like make really good catches and run after the catch. He moves well. He can block. Learning some of the nuance of the position, I think, is the thing that's held him back the most because he's a young guy.
Notre Dame just took 2 sacks in a row. They didn't even get a playoff at the end.
Is it over?
Yeah, Miami kicked the field goal. Miami's going to win 27-20. 27-24. That guy just took 2 sacks.
I guess
no time
on
out.
ACC.
Yeah. Maybe Chapel Bill can finish it off tomorrow night with a big win.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, I think they could win 10 games or they could win like 3. It's going to be probably something in there. Like, it's not going to be – they're not going to go like 6-6. It's going to be like they win 10 games because they play nobody or they like go in the toilet and are terrible. Like, I don't feel like there's a middle ground there. It'll be interesting to see how much they look like Colorado too because of the NFL stuff. And somebody was talking to me about that the other day and they're curious about that. Let's take a breather for a second. Alex, you want to talk about your favorite thing, Section 103, the place to get Georgia Tech gear from Georgia Tech fans?
That's right. Georgia Tech gear made by Georgia Tech people. I got the hat on right here. They got great hats. They got all the stuff you see on the screen there. They've got the new line of polos that I'm about to check out here and probably spend some money on soon. So they got a lot of great stuff. I'm sure they'll have some pop-ups at the home games too to go buy them on site. And
We
a lot of good
saw
stuff.
our guy called Alt Key rocking the Brent Key, the gray hoodie there with the cutoff sleeves at the game. He does look eerily like Brent from a distance, and then he looks like Brent if Brent got 2 sleeves. That's like how you can really tell that's not him because of the tattoos. But like that dude's cool. I said hello to him before the game. He was real nice. That trips me out so much seeing that, and I sent it to one of Brent's really good friends, like a picture of him from a distance, and he thought it was Brent. So that dude's doing a good job with his look. But yeah, Section 103, you can get your Brent Key hoodie. I wonder if they'll come out with the white one. Should check and see because he's been wearing the white one sometimes now. But yeah, Section 103 is awesome.
I don't know if it was the pregame sweat he had on or if it was from the rain, but he was lathered up when they ran on the field, and the gray hoodie was a little darker gray than it usually was. So
yeah, he has one that's darker than the gray one that he wears for games. Like it's kind of like it's more like my shirt that I'm wearing, like that color. I feel like or is that just what it gets wet that looks like? I don't know.
he had a pretty good sweat going on, I think, and
could be just him sweating and me like not thinking about it correctly. But I feel like he has a darker one that he wears for games. I'm gonna look right now just because this is bothering me. Is there anything else in the mailbag that?
I mean, there's a ton of questions about.
I looked at that, man. I was like, I am not looking forward to this. Like, I don't know when it's going to come out tomorrow. I'm going to be driving back at some point. Yeah. He wears a darker hoodie for games. It's not the same one he wears in practice. It's 100% not the same. Hold on, I'll show you. Because I thought I was tripping, but as the people said when I was young, that made me sound so old saying that. My son would have made fun of me if he was in here.
I don't know if he's tripping in a while. I don't know if.
But I am like 99% sure that this is the one that he wears for games. And the one he wears at practice, I will show you. This is some nerd. We're getting some nerd territory here.
He's got a different hat this year too. He's just more of a flat bill, or or at least that's what he was wearing at practice. It's that same color scheme, but it's a flat bill, like a fitted more type of hat. He's got jump written on the side of it, which I guess that's the theme this year, that they touched like a, as that was on the video today of the first game. They touched this thing going out of the locker room that said jump on it. I guess that's the kind of the motto.
So let's see here. If I can do this. So that's like it's a different shade. Like that's not my.
Yeah, it's a little lighter gray.
Yeah. I don't know. My wife makes fun of me. She thinks I'm a little bit colorblind.
You're colorblind, and I'm about part deaf, so we might even out.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody jumping on tonight with us. We're gonna try to get these under control and not do like an hour and a half. That's a little too much. But we wanted to make sure we got it in. Mailbag coming tomorrow. Alex has got Following the Future.
There was some good. Our guys had some good performances this week. There were some big numbers put up. That 27 guy had Southwest DeKalb on Thursday, had about 150 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. And I don't know.
We got our first. We'll have our first visitor list of the year for Saturday, which will be nice. A couple home games in a row. Got 3 in a row at home.
Yeah.
And then Wake is game 5. So excited to be home for a little bit. It's been a long week. Been the beach part of it and the game Saturday was a lot of fun. Boulder was really cool, man. I was like, man, I totally could see you living out here and covered in Colorado if you like that lifestyle, like the hiking and the bike trails and all that stuff. It was very cool. I see the appeal of it.
You got to see the mountains. You got to do the mountains and the beach all in a short stretch. So
yeah, I was in the mountains and a stream, and then where you could do fly fishing. That's not something I've ever been interested in, but you do fly fishing at that kind of a stream. And then all the way down to the Redneck Riviera. So, Will is asking for some prayers for their quarterback. Yes, that's really unfortunate. Braden Rogers, prayers up, buddy. That's tough, man. I've seen, unfortunately, some terrible things, covering. That's the tough part about covering really any kind of athletics is things can happen when people collide with each other or dive or try to make a play or whatever. So prayers up to that young man.
For sure.
Jeffrey's saying I could live out there because it wasn't cold yet. Yeah, you might be right about that. I was there was like a cool house like on the side of the mountain. I was like, oh, this would be great. And it's like 15 minutes from their campus, but I was like, it's probably like an hour and a half in the snow if you could even make that trip. But I mean, I'm here through the end of the decade, at least covered Georgia Tech. So I appreciate everybody. Alex will be with me every step of the way. And thanks for joining us tonight. And all hail Haynes King, because that dude played his butt off in that game on Friday night in Colorado and put the offense on his back, and that was great to see. And hopefully a sign of good things to come the rest of the year for the Yellow Jackets. Peace out, and see you guys soon.
Yes, sir. We'll see y'all soon.